The Galactic Council chamber was a vast, imposing hall where representatives from countless worlds gathered. High above, holographic banners displayed the flags and emblems of each race, shimmering like constellations. Today, a discussion had erupted over Earth, a topic rarely taken seriously. Council members, adorned in their respective cultural attire, dismissed tales of humanity's might as little more than an amusing footnote in their recorded history. To most present, the stories of Earth's triumphs were nothing but exaggerations, tales from a primitive world whose people had once fought fiercely but had long since faded into irrelevance. As a counselor from the Quorax, a species with shimmering scales and proud features, took the floor, he scoffed openly, casting a wry glance at a nearby screen displaying Earth's blue and green sphere. Humans, he sneered. An ancient species that briefly reached the stars, then faded back into obscurity. They had their moment, but they're no longer of consequence. Laughter rippled through the chamber, a mix of condescension and amusement. Many council members nodded in agreement, their alien eyes reflecting the councilors' disdain. To them, humanity's legacy was nothing but an embellished tale, stories of unlikely victories against stronger foes that had grown taller with time. They saw Earth as a relic of a bygone era, an anomaly that had surged, stumbled, and then receded, leaving behind myths of defiance but no tangible strength to back them up now. Yet, a few council members cast uneasy glances at each other, wary of the council's arrogance. They remembered snippets of history that were hard to ignore, Earth's rapid advancements, their audacious tactics, and the resilience that had once startled the entire galaxy. Some knew of the treaties humanity had once forged, the alliances they had led. But these memories had grown faint over time, and with humanity's recent withdrawal into their own territories, the Council's arrogance had taken root. Now, humanity was considered a footnote, a curiosity from the past, rather than a power worth fearing. In a quieter corner of the chamber, a gray-skinned counselor from a small race called the Hevrians watched, his multiple eyes narrowing. His people were among the weakest in the Council, often overlooked by the larger powers. He'd heard of humanity's strength in ancient records, passed down from one generation to the next, but even he had doubted their relevance today. That doubt faded now as a new idea took shape. Perhaps, if humanity was as weak as everyone said, it was time for his people to take what they could. The Hevrian representative requested permission to speak, rising slowly. If the Council believes Earth is of no consequence, he ventured, his voice low but confident, then perhaps we should officially relegate them from protected status. Let them fend for themselves. This could open opportunities for those who are willing to expand, perhaps even into Earth's territory. The suggestion sparked a flurry of whispers. Some council members chuckled at the boldness of the idea. Others were intrigued, nodding along as they considered it. The Council's indifference toward humanity had grown so entrenched that they were willing to leave Earth exposed to the ambitions of lesser races, assuming humanity was too diminished to respond effectively. Earth, they thought, was an aging power that couldn't possibly challenge any real threat. In their minds, humanity's strength had waned, their weapons grown obsolete, and their influence reduced to memories. In that moment, the Council made a fateful decision: they would lift Earth's protected status, leaving them vulnerable to minor incursions. It was a test of sorts, a way to see if humans still had any spark left, or if they would simply fall to the first determined race that dared to seize their territories. As the session concluded, the Hevrian counselor took his leave, already plotting his next move. He envisioned his people expanding, bolstered by resources from Earth's nearest outposts. After all, if humanity was truly as weak as the Council believed, they'd barely put up a fight. Confident in their plan, the Hevrians dispatched ships toward the fringes of Earth's territory, eager to assert themselves. Across the galaxy, on Earth, humanity had taken notice. Though they had withdrawn from the broader political scene, they were not unaware of the Council's actions. Their network of observatories and listening posts had picked up on the Hevrian fleet movements, and it didn't take long for Earth's leaders to piece together the implications. The Council had deemed them insignificant, assumed their power had faded, and now one of the weakest races in the galaxy sought to test them. Earth's leaders gathered in a quiet command center, away from the public eye. In a darkened room filled with holographic maps and data screens, high-ranking officials reviewed the situation. They knew the Council's perception of humanity had changed, grown complacent. But if the Council thought humanity was defenseless, they were sorely mistaken. Centuries of peace had not dulled their preparedness, it had only allowed them to advance in silence, unseen and underestimated. One official, a veteran of Earth's old interstellar campaigns, leaned forward, his eyes steely with determination. "They think we've forgotten how to defend ourselves. That we're relics," he murmured. "But they're about to see that we've only grown stronger." Another leader, a scientist responsible for Earth's defensive technology, nodded. "Our advancements in stealth tech and defense grids will make them regret their assumptions. Let them come. We'll remind them what humanity is capable of." With swift, quiet resolve, humanity prepared to respond. They had no intention of allowing a minor race to encroach upon their borders. Earth's finest strategists and scientists mobilized, setting defenses in place, activating weapon systems that the galaxy hadn't seen in years. They understood the importance of this moment, not only for Earth's safety but as a declaration to the galaxy that humanity had not faded into obscurity. As the Hevrian fleet entered Earth's territory, they were met with a calm yet chilling silence. No alarms, no broadcasts, just an eerie quiet that settled like a shroud around their ships. Confident in the Council's underestimation of humanity, they pressed forward, certain of their easy victory. Then, without warning, their sensors flared with alerts. From the darkness of space, Earth's defenses activated, precise and overwhelming. Every Hevrian ship found itself targeted, systems scrambling as humanity's technology overwhelmed their defenses. One by one, their ships were neutralized, taken out with stunning efficiency. The message was clear and unmistakable. Humanity was far from irrelevant, and their power had not diminished. The Hevrian fleet limped back, battered and humiliated, bearing witness to Earth's resurgence. A calm intensity filled Earth's command center as the leaders of humanity assembled. The room was quiet but charged with purpose, with holographic maps of the galaxy and detailed projections of enemy movements floating above the round table where they gathered. Each figure at the table had a unique story, a background that contributed to the diverse tapestry of humanity's might. At the head of the table sat Admiral Marcus Vale, a veteran with a gaze as steely as the hulls of Earth's warships. His presence commanded respect, the weight of his experience evident in his every word. Marcus had led Earth's forces through countless skirmishes and had seen the galaxies rise and fall from different vantage points. He knew Earth's history, the fierce battles fought, and the peace maintained. He had watched as humanity withdrew from the Council's politics over the years, content to let Earth's strength fade into myth in the minds of their galactic neighbors. Beside him was Dr. Evelyn Sato, a scientist who was equal parts genius and eccentric. She had spent her career developing technology that remained hidden from the galaxy's prying eyes, advanced AI-driven defense systems, stealth capabilities, and energy shields that could deflect even the most powerful attacks. Her ideas were unconventional, and to many on Earth, even her colleagues, Evelyn was a puzzle in her own right. But her mind was brilliant, and her inventions had transformed Earth's defenses into something formidable. A hint of pride crossed her face as she adjusted her glasses, eyes gleaming with the quiet thrill of deploying the technologies she'd worked on for so long. Then there was Samira Torres, a young diplomat and the voice of humanity in the galaxy. She was sharp, empathetic, and deeply aware of humanity's precarious position in galactic affairs. Samira knew that Earth's silence had made them a target, but also granted them the element of surprise. Her goal was to ensure that their message to the Council would be clear, respectful, and firm. No need for a full-scale war, only a reminder that humanity was not to be underestimated. The discussion began. Admiral Vale's voice cut through the tension. "The Council's forgotten who we are," he said, glancing around the room. "And they've left us open to these Hevrian incursions. We need to make it known that Earth will not tolerate threats to our people." Dr. Sato smirked. "I'd say it's the perfect time to give them a little preview of what they dismissed as myths." Samira, ever the diplomat, nodded thoughtfully. A show of strength, yes, but one that doesn't escalate beyond what's necessary. We don't want the Council viewing us as a new threat. Just a reminder of humanity's place. With a quick glance, Admiral Vale activated a holographic display of Earth's hidden strength. Rows of Earth's warships, sleek, heavily armored, and enhanced with advanced technology, hovered as blue silhouettes over the table. Dr. Sato's defensive stations, disguised as research satellites over the years, surrounded Earth and the nearby territories, forming an unseen shield that any invader would have to contend with. Our ships have the latest propulsion and stealth systems, Admiral Vale continued. The Council thinks we're outdated, but these vessels can evade detection, track hostile ships, and deliver precision strikes. Dr. Sato's defenses can intercept anything within a 5-light-year radius. It's time to bring some of these out of hiding. Dr. Sato leaned forward, her face animated as she pointed to the defense stations. These aren't just for show. They can intercept enemy signals, scramble communications, and pinpoint locations in real time. If the Hevrians or anyone else thinks they can breach our borders, they'll quickly learn otherwise. The room fell silent as the implications set in. Humanity's strength had been hidden, a quiet guardian over Earth. But now, the leaders saw it clearly. The galaxy's underestimation of humanity was a blessing in disguise. They had the power and surprise on their side. What we do next will shape humanity's standing for centuries, Samira said quietly. We need to strike a balance. Show them what we're capable of, but avoid unnecessary escalation. Admiral Vale nodded. Agreed. Our message needs to be unmistakable but restrained. We'll defend our borders against the Hevrians, and we'll do so decisively. If the Council is watching, they'll understand that Earth still holds its ground. The Council agreed unanimously, and the mobilization began. Earth's fleet stirred in orbit, a silent awakening. Captains and crews, long trained and battle-ready, received their orders with a sense of purpose. Warships powered up, the hum of energy filling their halls as the crews prepared for action. Pilots donned their flight suits, checking systems as they steeled themselves for the coming conflict. Humanity's dormant strength was stirring, ready to emerge from the shadows. Dr. Sato issued final instructions to her team, activating the defensive stations along Earth's borders. Hidden behind cloaked exteriors, these stations held enough firepower to deter even the largest Council fleets. While their outer appearance was simple, their interiors housed weapons and technology that could intercept or disable any hostile ships long before they reached Earth. In the midst of it all, Samira prepared a diplomatic message to the Council, framing humanity's upcoming actions as necessary defense rather than aggression. Her tone was calm yet unmistakably firm, leaving no room for misinterpretation. She wanted the Council to understand that this was not a declaration of war, but rather a demonstration of humanity's unyielding commitment to their safety and sovereignty. As the mobilization progressed, the atmosphere was one of calm resolve rather than fear. These were leaders and soldiers who understood the stakes, who knew that this was a moment of defining action. Earth had been left to its own devices for years, but now, the time had come to show the galaxy what they had built in the quiet spaces between Council meetings and political maneuvering. Finally, Earth's fleet moved out, slipping through the cloak of invisibility that Dr. Sato's technology had provided. To the galaxy at large, they seemed to appear from nowhere, a silent but unmistakable show of force. As each ship moved into position, the quiet confidence of humanity's leaders was reflected across the fleet. There was no fanfare, no posturing, only the unwavering readiness of those who knew the strength they held. And now, humanity would make it known. As dawn broke over the outpost on Titan, the tension in the air was palpable. Reports had confirmed that a fleet of Hevrian ships was on approach, their intentions clear but their execution misguided. They believed themselves to be invincible, confident that the Earth's defenses had grown stale and weak after years of neglect. But they were about to learn otherwise. Admiral Vale watched from the command center of Earth's fleet, every eye fixed on the approaching enemy. He understood that this would be a pivotal moment, a chance to show not only the Hevrians but the entire Galactic Council that humanity was far from the relic they believed them to be. With a steady voice, he relayed the order to engage the enemy with precision, signaling the fleet to assume formation. As the Hevrian vessels entered firing range, they unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, confident in their overwhelming numbers. However, they were met with a brilliant display of human ingenuity. Earth's fleet, concealed until the last moment, launched a counterstrike that was as much about strategy as it was about strength. The first volley of human fire erupted with stunning accuracy. Advanced targeting systems, honed through years of development, allowed for pinpoint strikes. The human ships maneuvered fluidly, evading incoming fire while returning fire in a coordinated ballet of tactics. Each ship acted as part of a larger whole, with communications flowing seamlessly as captains adjusted positions based on real-time data. The Hevrians were thrown into disarray. They expected to face outdated technology and poorly trained forces, not a well-oiled machine of destruction that struck like a viper. As Earth's ships unleashed their advanced weaponry, EMP blasts and energy disruptors, they systematically disabled the Hevrian vessels one by one. There was no unnecessary destruction. The goal was to incapacitate, not annihilate. This was a warning, not a massacre. Dr. Sato's defense systems were in full effect, intercepting incoming fire and providing real-time feedback to the fleet. Her innovations had not only kept the outpost safe but had also turned it into a fortified bastion. The energy shields absorbed blasts, and the advanced AI systems guided the human response, anticipating enemy maneuvers and countering them with remarkable efficiency. Within moments, the skirmish had shifted. The Hevrians, once confident in their superiority, began to panic. As their ships were picked apart, they attempted to regroup, sending desperate signals for reinforcements. But Earth's fleet had anticipated this and continued to press their advantage. An ambush awaited the stragglers, and the human forces executed it flawlessly, turning the tide of battle decisively. Meanwhile, back in the Galactic Council chambers, news of the skirmish reached the members, sparking a flurry of reactions. The initial report was met with disbelief. Some council members scoffed, insisting that it must have been a mere coincidence, that a few Earth ships had benefited from surprise tactics. They argued that such an isolated incident could not reflect a resurgence of human power. However, a growing faction within the council began to worry. They had watched as the Hevrians, emboldened by the council's dismissive stance, had begun to provoke Earth. Now they saw the results of their underestimation, and the implications sent shivers through those who valued stability in the galaxy. A high-ranking council member, Minister Terran, stood and addressed the assembly. "We cannot ignore what has happened. This was not a simple attack, this was a strategic response. If Earth has rearmed and reorganized, we must consider what that means for our standing." Terran's words stirred unease. Some members whispered among themselves, recalling the tales of humanity's historic strength. While others dismissed the incident, the balance was shifting, and hesitation loomed over the council. In the midst of this turmoil, Samira Torres prepared a diplomatic message for the council. She understood the importance of framing humanity's response, and her resolve sharpened as she wrote. The tone needed to be firm but not aggressive, a reminder that humanity would not stand idly by while their interests were threatened. With clarity, she articulated the message, stressing that the skirmish had served as a warning. If provoked again, humanity would respond with equal decisiveness. "We have shown restraint today, but know this, we will defend our home and our people. Dismiss us at your peril." As she finalized the message, a wave of confidence washed over her. The Hevrians had learned a harsh lesson, and now the council would have to reckon with their own miscalculations. Samira's words would echo through the chambers of power, a reminder that humanity was still a player in the grand cosmic game, a force to be acknowledged, not ignored. With the communication dispatched, the message reached the council chambers just as Terran concluded his argument for a reassessment of humanity's role. Samira's clear and unwavering words hung in the air like a blade, challenging any notion of complacency. Admiral Vale monitored the skirmish's aftermath, where the remnants of the Hevrian fleet limped away, their ranks shattered and their confidence in tatters. He understood the significance of their message, not just to the Hevrians but to the Council and the galaxy as a whole. Humanity had awakened, and the sleeping giant was ready to remind everyone of its capabilities. As the dust settled over the Titan outpost, the human forces stood resolute. They had delivered a message, a blend of power and restraint, a tactical display that would resonate far beyond the battlefield. The galaxy had been warned, and now they would wait to see how the Council responded to this renewed force that was no longer willing to be forgotten. Humanity's legacy was far from over. It was just beginning anew. The Galactic Council convened again, the atmosphere heavy with tension. Despite the recent skirmish that showcased humanity's capabilities, many members still held on to their misconceptions about Earth's strength. They believed the earlier battle was merely a fluke, a momentary lapse in judgment on the part of the Hevrians, and decided to send an expeditionary force to assess the situation firsthand. They were convinced that humanity's power was nothing more than a distant memory, irrelevant in the current cosmic landscape. As the Council's expeditionary fleet set course for Earth, they were unaware of the storm they were about to unleash. Each ship was equipped with state-of-the-art technology, yet they carried a dangerous overconfidence that blinded them to the reality of their adversary. In their minds, humanity had long been relegated to the pages of history, a civilization they could safely ignore. Back on Earth, Admiral Vale and his team were prepared for the challenge. They had anticipated the Council's next move, knowing that they would likely send a show of force to gauge humanity's true capabilities. The Admiral convened his top commanders, detailing the plan to not just defend but to reveal the full might of Earth's forces. This was an opportunity to turn the tide of perception permanently, to ensure that humanity was respected once again. The expeditionary fleet arrived at Earth's orbit with all the pomp of a grand parade, their ships glittering under the light of the sun. However, they were met not with fanfare but with calculated silence. Earth's fleet remained hidden, waiting for the opportune moment to strike, ready to unveil their true power. As the enemy forces began to approach, the Admiral signaled for readiness. The moment the Council's ships crossed into the designated operational zone, Earth's defenses came alive. Ships that had been lying in wait emerged from the shadows, a majestic array of humanity's most advanced technology. The battle began with an astonishing display of firepower, as Earth's ships coordinated their assaults with surgical precision. Every blast from humanity's fleet was aimed, each maneuver executed flawlessly. The alien ships, despite their advanced technology, found themselves outmatched and overwhelmed. The Earth fleet employed tactics that had evolved over generations, utilizing not just brute force but strategic ingenuity. Their AI systems predicted enemy movements, allowing human pilots to exploit weaknesses with terrifying efficiency. As laser blasts and missile barrages lit up the space around them, the alien commanders struggled to maintain order among their ranks. With every engagement, Earth's forces demonstrated a resilience that was fueled by years of preparation and technological advancement. They had invested not just in weaponry, but in a comprehensive understanding of warfare, having studied every conflict in the galaxy. This allowed them to anticipate the moves of their enemies, often countering with unexpected tactics that left the expeditionary fleet reeling. Reports flowed back to the Galactic Council in real time, each one more alarming than the last. Commanders relayed their growing concerns, detailing the skill and coordination of Earth's fleet. "They're not just fighting back, they're outmaneuvering us," one commander stated, panic evident in his voice. "Their technology is more advanced than we ever anticipated, and their tactics are unorthodox." As the battle escalated, it became evident that this was no longer a simple expedition to gauge strength. It was a clash of civilizations. The Council's forces began to crumble under the relentless onslaught, their ships systematically taken out one by one. Human fighters darted through the ranks, disrupting formation and creating chaos. The once cocky commanders of the expedition found themselves scrambling to respond to the increasingly unpredictable strategies employed by their human foes. This decisive battle marked a turning point. The Galactic Council, once so dismissive of humanity, had to confront the undeniable truth: Earth was no longer the mythic relic they had once believed it to be. As reports continued to stream in, the realization settled over the Council like a dark cloud: humanity was powerful, organized, and incredibly resilient. They had miscalculated their adversary and were now facing the consequences of their hubris. When the remnants of the expeditionary force finally limped back to the council chambers, they carried with them a sense of dread mixed with newfound respect. Their reports were filled with details of humanity's strength, their unyielding spirit, and the innovative tactics that had turned the tide of battle. The commanding officer, visibly shaken, recounted how their forces had been systematically dismantled by what they had presumed to be a weakened foe. "They are not what we thought. Their power has grown in ways we could never have imagined," he declared, his voice steady but filled with disbelief. The council members listened intently, their expressions shifting from skepticism to concern. Those who had previously dismissed Earth's capabilities now recognized the gravity of their mistake. The tales of humanity's legendary past, once scoffed at, began to take on new weight. They understood that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, no longer the easy prey they had thought. As discussions began anew, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of fear and respect. The council members debated the implications of humanity's resurgence, weighing the potential ramifications for their own standing in the galaxy. They could no longer afford to underestimate Earth. The era of complacency was over, and they would need to reassess their strategies and alliances moving forward. For humanity, the battle was not just a victory, it was a reclaiming of their legacy. They had proven that they were not to be forgotten or disregarded. They had shown the galaxy that their spirit and ingenuity were formidable weapons in their own right. The Council would have to adapt, to recognize that humanity was back on the chessboard, ready to reclaim its place among the stars. The message was clear: humanity had awoken, and their power would no longer be ignored. The Galactic Council gathered once more, a mix of tension and anticipation filling the Grand Chamber. The recent skirmishes had dramatically altered the dynamics of power in the galaxy, and now, humanity's representatives prepared to address the Assembly. Admiral Vale stood at the forefront, flanked by key leaders from Earth, ready to deliver a speech that would resonate far beyond the walls of the Council. As the room settled, Vale's voice boomed with clarity and conviction. "Esteemed members of the Council, we stand before you today not just as representatives of Earth, but as a testament to what humanity can achieve when underestimated. For too long, our history has been dismissed, our strength overlooked, and our potential disregarded." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink in. "We are not a relic of the past, we are a living, breathing force of nature." He recounted the triumphs of humanity's past, how they had navigated through wars, disasters, and a myriad of challenges. "Our history is one of resilience. We have faced extinction, betrayal, and chaos, yet we have always risen to confront the odds. The galaxy may have forgotten our legacy, but we are here to remind you that humanity is not only alive, but thriving." Vale's speech shifted, touching on the recent conflicts that had reshaped their relationship with the Galactic Council. "We have demonstrated our capabilities in battle, not out of aggression, but in defense of our home and our people. Our response was not merely a display of force, it was a declaration that we will protect our interests. We are not a people to be trifled with." The room stirred at this proclamation, the realization dawning on many that humanity was no longer content to be a footnote in the galaxy's history. As the Admiral continued, he presented humanity's vision for the future. "We offer a choice of cooperation, collaboration, and respect. We are willing to work together as equals, to foster a new era of diplomacy and shared strength. However, let it be known, if you choose to remain separate, if you choose to disrespect us again, we will stand ready to defend what is ours." The finality of his statement hung in the air, challenging the Council to reconsider their previous stance. The Council members exchanged glances, the gravity of the situation pressing down on them. They had witnessed humanity's resurgence, and many began to understand that this was not just a momentary rise. It was the beginning of a new chapter. A shift in galactic politics was underway, and they could either adapt to this reality, or risk being left behind. One by one, the Council members began to voice their thoughts. A representative from a minor species, previously skeptical, spoke up. "We have seen the strength of your resolve, humanity. We once doubted you, but now we recognize the error of our ways. We would be honored to ally with such a determined and powerful race. The sentiments echoed around the chamber, with several other representatives expressing their newfound respect for Earth's capabilities. As the Council formally acknowledged humanity's status, a sense of unity began to form. They agreed to cease hostilities and recognize Earth's territories and interests, marking a historic moment in galactic diplomacy. The applause that followed was not just for humanity but for the potential of collaboration moving forward. With the conclusion of the meeting, a realization washed over the Council and the galaxy at large. Humanity was no longer an afterthought. They were a powerful ally and a force to be reckoned with. Those who had once doubted Earth now recognized the resilience, adaptability, and spirit that defined humanity. As the dust settled on the negotiations, the leaders of Earth reflected on their journey. They had faced a long road of misunderstanding, but through it all, they had maintained their strength and pride. The recent conflicts had only served to fortify their resolve, proving to the galaxy that humanity was not merely a myth but a living embodiment of resilience. As tales of humanity's resurgence spread throughout the galaxy, they began to reshape perceptions. Other civilizations began to view Earth not just as a planet to exploit or ignore, but as an ally worth fostering relationships with. The HFY message resonated across the stars. Humanity had reclaimed its place among the galactic powers, and they would not be forgotten again. This new reputation, forged in the fires of conflict and diplomacy, solidified Earth's standing in the cosmos. The legacy of humanity was no longer a tale of the past but a vibrant narrative that would continue to unfold. With renewed respect and a commitment to mutual understanding, humanity stepped boldly into the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united and unyielding. The galaxy would remember this moment as the turning point when humanity stood up, not just for themselves, but for the dignity and strength of their entire species.